Hey, so today I wanted to share some stuff I've never really shared before. And I think this is going to really inspire you. And also, it's going to show you what's really possible when you put your mind to it, right? Now, I essentially was broken in this first photo here. Now, this is why we shouldn't always judge a book by its cover, although we do naturally. In that first picture, 22 years old, you can see I was in shape physically, but I was mentally really struggling. And fast forward to where I'm at now, 15 years later, not only do I look good, in fact, I look pretty much the same in both photos, but mentally, emotionally, my habits, my lifestyle is transformed. So it's not all about looking good. You want to feel and perform at your best too. So let me know if this sounds like you, my friend, right? So you may be in a position where you feel like you're stuck and you're spinning your wheels, right? And you haven't got that routine, which essentially feels sustainable, and you feel like you might be very much all or nothing or stop start. And that then leaves you feeling frustrated, right? Because you can't stay consistent for long enough to get any meaningful progress, right? And this is what some of my highest performing clients have struggled with. You're not alone with this. And I used to be world's worst with the all or nothing mentality. And I'll get to that, right? But look, you may be frustrated because you haven't yet got to where you want to be, right? You want to get into the shape of your life, not just physically, but mentally, and you haven't got there. And it feels like you almost get really disheartened, right? Because you're not seeing the progress that you want to see. And the likelihood is you probably tried a coach before, but you ended up back in the same place, right? Because you weren't building the foundation, right? It's one thing, for example, having a face-to-face PT in the gym, like I used to do, having someone count your reps, look at your technique. But when it comes to the stuff outside of the gym, that's what really moves the needle forward. And that's where I was stuck because I was training and I was personal training people from the age of 20, right? So I knew my way around the gym. But again, this is some stuff you may not have known about me, right? And ultimately, I look fit. But like I said, I was struggling on the inside, poor habits. I was partying way too much on weekends, right? I wasn't looking after myself outside of the gym. And this came at a heavy price of my mental health. And I really struggled with depression and anxiety for a period of time. And that's not to say everyone watching this has gone through that, but I'm sure you know someone who has. And to get out of that is not easy. But when we look at our behaviors, our decisions, and our choices day to day, when I look back, there's no wonder I was feeling depressed. Now, this clinical depression is a very broad topic, which I won't go into, but I'm going to hold my hands up and say, look, my nutrition was letting me down. I was eating, poorly. And like I say, I was drinking lots of alcohol, doing stuff I shouldn't have been on the weekends. And even though I looked good, I actually was really falling apart on the inside. So, like I said earlier, now 37, I'm literally not only do I look good, but day to day, it feels easy staying in incredible shape, right? Self discipline actually becomes really enjoyable when you feel, look, and perform at your best. When your sex life is great, you show up at your best work, productivity wise. You've got sustained energy all day long, right? You naturally make better decisions with food when you're sleeping well, when you're training properly, and when you're really prioritizing your health. It's not about being perfect, but it feels very easy and automatic to me now. And that's where I aim to get all of my clients. And this is what I help people do day to day. I help people achieve peak physical shape and peak performance. And I help a lot of business owners and high performing professionals like myself. So look, some really powerful lessons here for you, my friend, right? Your eating habits really, really say more about your relationship with yourself than they do anything else, right? Emotional eating, when you feel down, bored, stressed, anxious, lonely, we can turn to food for as an escape, and that becomes a slippery slope, right? But it's what you're doing. I'm always looking at what my clients are doing for the 23 hours outside of the gym, right? That's really when you're moving the needle forward, right? Because there's only so much you can do in a workout, right? And like I said, don't judge a book by its cover. And I've met a lot of people because I used to, back in the day, be in the bodybuilding industry. And, I used to see a lot of people, a lot of my peers they look good on the outside and on Instagram, but really they were struggling with their relationships. They were struggling with their mental health. They had binge eating disorder, right? And I used to struggle with binge eating as well back in those days. But look, investing in myself in particular really accelerates your results because what I've done with mentors and with coaches myself is I'm actually extracting the guidance from them and then I can just get the clarity I need to implement and get results and move forward, right? And that's been the best investment I've ever made, is invested in myself. And who you surround yourself with as well, right? Community, having like-minded people around you. It's almost like having a sparring partner, right? If a boxer's sparring with someone who's a rookie, then he's going to get found out when he has the real fight, right? You've got to be around people who share a similar vision to you and who are going to push you outside of your comfort zone. So I want to inspire you with some client results. Now, this is my client, Nikki, right? And everything we do at Optimize Your Body is all about sustainability, right? It doesn't matter if you can get results over 1, 2, 3 months. If you can't sustain it like most people, then there's no point in getting those results, right? Because ultimately, you're going to end up going back to square one, if not worse. And over 90% of people gain all the weight back they lost, right? So this is Nikki, sustainable nutrition and training strategy. She was really struggling with yo-yo dieting for years. She had a really rough year, bless her, last year, had a lot going on in her personal life. And she joined the program. She achieved this within the first 90 days. Now, how incredible is that? She lost 15 pounds. She built lean muscle. And now she feels confident, strong, and healthy. And literally, we had a call the other day, and it brought her to tears because she was so overwhelmed with joy in comparison to where she was mentally. I always want to go back to that, my friend. It's all about health, mentally, emotionally, in a relationship. She was struggling. And where she's at now, even within the first 90 days, she's a different woman. She shows up different for her family, for her partner, for her son, right? She has energy to do the things she wants to do outside of just working. And she's confident, strong, and healthy. And she's dropped 15 pounds, fitting into all her favorite clothes. And that's what she had to say there, if you want to read that. My man, Rob had type 2 diabetes, and we reversed his type 2 diabetes within, 3-4 months, within 90 days, right? And he dropped 6 centimeters off his waist, built an incredible amount of muscle. And bear in mind, Rob had already been lifting weights for 15 years. So this goes back to what I was saying. He knew his way around the gym, right? He enjoyed training, but the nutrition, he needed the nutrition to be fine-tuned. He needed someone to hold him accountable, and he needed that structure. So we could just not guess anymore and just have the structure, do the work, and have full access to me, right? But look, this is what he had to say. And honestly, those kind of results, ladies and gents, are what really gives me that amazing feeling. I mean, all the results and transformations do, but when someone reverses a chronic illness like type 2 diabetes, I mean, it's incredible, right? And it goes to show the power. You are in control. You're in control of your health, of your destiny, and of how you perform on a day-to-day basis. And look, Karen, thriving through menopause, right? Now, this is a big challenge for Karen. She was basically in her 50s when she reached out, and ultimately she was stuck for ages, right? And you can see the transformation there, right? It's insane. She dropped 3 inches off her waist, right? And she started sleeping better. When we had to work on certain things with the hormones and stuff. It's very, personalized from person to person. But the menopause was holding her back because it was ruining her sleep. And if you've dealt with that in menopause, or if you've dealt with, poor sleep, that's the worst thing, right? It affects everything. And that was affecting the decision making with food. And also, she just had no energy day to day. And she was making, like, on the weekend, she would sabotage. And ultimately, as you can see here, she's built muscle and lost fat. This is a body recomp. So she actually built muscle, dropped a significant amount of fat. And ultimately, now it feels automatic and easy for her, right? So she doesn't feel like she's struggling anymore on weekends. And she doesn't feel restricted as well, which is really, really important, right? Because it needs to be sustainable. So she only signed up for 6 weeks. She ended up staying with me for 2 years. So this is my man, Dale. Okay. Now, Dale got 6-pack abs, completely turned his life around. The 6-pack abs are the byproduct. I always want to hammer this home, ladies and gents. That's the byproduct of his decisions, of his discipline, of him taking his health into his own hands, and essentially stop bullshitting himself. Like, I can't even tell you, with his mental health. I actually just spoke to him the other day. He was on the program for, I think, 2 years as well. And he was broken mentally, much like I was broken mentally. He said to me the other day, and this is powerful. This makes me feel like emotional. He said, I don't think I'd still be here, man, if it wasn't for you. And I've had a few clients say this to me, right? And this is giving me that feeling now when your spine goes all funny. And honestly, like, I'm so proud of this guy. I can't even say it in words how proud I am of him. And this is what he had to say. Look, yes, he got 6-pack abs, right? And he's shredded with his top off, feeling great. And that's amazing. Let's not lie. We all want to feel good confidence-wise, right? And this is what most people want. They want to lose fat. They want to improve the way their body looks. and feel good and confident about themselves, right? That's number one. So his confidence now, he can't keep his shirt on, right? But, he didn't want to take his shirt off on the beach. But like I say, more importantly, mentally, he was struggling. This was having a massive negative impact on his relationship with his wife to the point where they were on the verge of actually breaking up. And now he's thriving. His relationship's great. He's got 2 lovely daughters as well. And man, honestly, I'm so proud of this guy. But this goes to show, ladies and gents, right? The body's the byproduct, right? What you can do to your life, for your professional life, your career, because you're going to be more productive, more sustained energy. When you take your health into your own hands and when you start getting serious about implementing habits and staying consistent, right? It changes everything from your professional life to your relationship to your sex life to how you feel internally with your confidence. And ultimately, it gives you more incentive to keep going, right? When it gets tough, when you start noticing those health markers that I mentioned really level up, it gives you more drive to keep going when things get tough. And that's why you need to know why it's important to you, right? Really important to know your real reason to change. So shout out to those legendary OYB clients. But these are some even bigger ones, right? I've talked about the body. I've talked about how much weight they lost, 6-pack abs. Great, right? But this is what I'm talking about here, right? Another one, Brian Cassidy. Not going to read it all out. He basically had diabetes as well, and transformed that within 90 days. He gained 11 pounds of fat and lost 11 pounds of muscle, as you can see here. And he's no longer in a place where his health was really at risk, where he basically had type 2 diabetes. Sorry, pre-diabetic, got that wrong. But he was on the verge at any point of it turning into full-blown diabetes, right? So unbelievable work from Brian. Another big one here, client taking PPIs, right, for his gut. He was on medication for 15 years, mental health for anxiety, PPIs for gut. His gut was messed up. He had to take medication for his mental health. Now, some people need that, but his goal was really to come off that. And, it took us a while to get off all the meds, right? But within a year, he came off all the medications he was taking. There was more he was taking as well. And he got into the shape of his life physically and mentally. I don't want to put all the before and afters on here. I don't want to make it too much about the body, even though that's what a lot of people want. And then my man, Kevin, a new client, actually, he got rid of the blood pressure medications. That was his goal, to get off them. And already he's off them because he's normalized and transformed his metabolic health. So he's metabolically more healthy. He's dropped visceral fat around his organs. And what the funny thing is, right? Kevin's 63. And he said the other day about his wife saying his sex drive is higher than it's ever been, right? And he's 63 years old. So it goes to show, when you get stronger, you focus on getting physically stronger and focus on strength training. You focus on eating well and dialing that in, right? In terms of your nutrition and avoiding ultra processed foods. I can't stress that enough. Ultimately, your whole life, it's more than just the body, right? So yeah, imagine what's possible for you, my friend, right? If you were to take your health into your own hands, right? Get the structure, get the guidance, get whatever you need in terms of accountability, and just level up, right? And stay consistent. Imagine over the space of a year, right? Like, ask yourself this: when was the last time you were consistent for a whole year? I can't tell you how many times I ask people that question and they say never. Now, some people say, oh, it was a few years ago. But being consistent for a whole year with the right things, that's important, right? Because you can be consistent with the wrong things and have the wrong approach. The approach you take to getting in shape, whether it's weight loss or just getting in shape physically, it needs to be the right approach. That's critical, right? Because if you take the wrong approach, it's not going to be sustainable. You're going to burn out and you're going to end up in a worse position, right? But imagine you were to wake up full of energy, right? Like I feel every single day, full of confidence, really proud when you look at yourself in the mirror of the person you've become, and really feeling in control, right? Of not just your mind and body, but your habits and behaviors, right? So yeah, it's not about being perfect, though. I want to be clear here. None of my clients are perfect. I'm not perfect, right? But if you can be consistent at least 85% of the time, right? You're still going to enjoy some of your favorite foods. You're still going to have some alcohol here and there and enjoy social events. I want to be clear with this. It needs to be a flexible approach. That's the approach I always take with clients, right? But imagine you were feeling in control, so you could still enjoy yourself, right? But not take the mick and make good decisions for the most part, because that's what it's all about, right? And look, results like Nikki's, Dale's, Karen's, and Rob's, and all the others I mentioned there could be your story, right? So look, why stay stuck? Why stay in the same place spinning your wheels, right? You're probably stuck in a rut right now, and you don't want to be riddled with self-doubt, right? And frustration. And the worst thing you want is to look back and go, if only I'd take action on that, right? And imagine what can happen in 90 days. That's all you need to look at as a foundation, right? Is 90 days. You could literally transform your lifestyle, you could transform your body and literally reinvent yourself within that time and be a completely different person. But what you got to look at is, again, you want to look at being consistent for all seasons for the space of a year, right? And look, there's only one question, my friend, you got to ask yourself, right? Are you ready to become the best version of yourself? That's the only question you've got to ask yourself, right? And if you're ready to become the best version of yourself, you're ready to level up, you're ready to optimize your mind and body, the tools, support, the proven game plan and system is here waiting for you, right? And all you got to do is literally just click the link right there and book in a call, right? And look, we'd have to make sure we're going to be a good fit. We'd have to, I'd have to find out more about where you're at, what you're struggling with, and exactly what you need to achieve. But either way, I'm happy to help. And worst case scenario, you're going to leave the call with a game plan on how to crush your health and fitness goals, whether that be fat loss, build a muscle, whatever health goals you want to achieve. You'll leave with a game plan on how to achieve that within the next 90 days. So yeah, anyway, ladies and gents, or you can just DM me on Instagram with the word ready at Martin Silva Fitness. Look, hope you enjoyed this. Hope you got some value from it. Take care.